Hello, welcome back to the Great Patriotic War. Gary Grigsby's War in the East 2. So, we've got our line all settled. One thing I wanted to do before we turn the turn is check our reserves to see if there's anything that could be brought in potentially. And also to check the theater boxes, make sure that there's nothing that needs to go out to the theater boxes. We do have some artillery that's ready to go, so we might as well send that to the front. Yeah, we got a good amount of artillery. And we have a mechanized division that's ready, which is eventually going to withdraw to the far east, but who cares? Rifle division eventually going to go to the northern front, but again, who cares? And a mechanized division that's going to be disbanded on turn 24. That would be sad. They're perfectly good. So I'm thinking anything 85 and up we can bring on to the map. So let's do that. 85. Oops. 85 to 100. We will bring all of these guys onto the map. Why can I not bring these onto the map? Excuse me, game? I don't understand that one. Whatever. They're going to be coming into Kursk. Yeah, again, I don't know why I didn't just send this to the reserves. Oops. Let's just back this off and send it to the reserves. We'll get some other units coming in. I'm fine with a mechanized unit not having its tanks, but when you have a critically important tank unit with no tanks, then what's the point of having them on the front? Their whole purpose is to have tanks. Alright, I think that's finally it. So, let us pray. End turn. Oh god. I get such anxiety from clicking that button. It's insane. And I'm just playing against the computer, but it still makes me anxious. Ugh. I don't like it. Mainly because I'm very iffy about our deployment this turn. Especially, I'm thinking Leningrad might turn into Lenin Pocket, or not Leningrad, I'm thinking Kiev might turn into the Kiev Pocket, and Leningrad might start getting threatened by this arm here that took Novgorod last turn. They're scary. I don't like it. Okay, we're flying some actual battles. Oh my god, there's an actual air fight. We shot down 47 planes. Whoa. Oh my god. Wow. We massacred them. Wait, Odessa surrendered? Why? Held. Knocked back and routed. Held. Not one step back, comrades. Hey, they finally made it to Stalin. I was wondering when they were going to get there. It's like they were supposed to get that a long time ago. Oh, wow. That's amazing. So even though they got wiped out at Odessa, even though we lost Odessa, we still got the guards unit out of it. That's amazing. Okay, they got knocked out. Oh man, this is a battle and a half here. Yeah, I mean, that's their job to get knocked back a little bit. I mean, it's okay. Got him onto the rail line. Not one step back. Hold fast, boys. Hold. They fought 3 battles there. That's great. I don't know what's going on here. It's a scary looking thing. Yeah, I have no idea what was going on there. I guess they were just marching up to the front. That way the camera snaps around, it's really weird. We're also seeing their point of view of the intel, so we don't see our forces that are all here, that are all like on this Arel Kursk line. So we just know what they know here. And they know that we have really weak units that they can just obliterate like that. But that's okay. These units were holding forces designed to slow them down to get an extra couple of turns of combat prep for our main infantry divisions to hold the actual line. Kind of a defense in depth, really scuffed though, because ideally in defense in depth you want very light units at the front, which I guess we kind of had, but they also were kind of valuable because they're mobile. So I only used them up there because they were so weak they wouldn't have helped with the line. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. How did they lose that battle? I guess they run in a full infantry division now. And they're just pushing. I guess they're done preparing for the big battles. They're pushing now. Okay. That's it. That was an exciting turn. Oh my god. That's some serious battles. But we held Kiev, number 1. We didn't get encircled at the Kiev pocket. Amazing. We stalled out on the Bryansk front. Bryansk/Central. I still call it Bryansk front, but we could just as easily call it the Orel front at this point because there's no more Bryansk. And in the north, we got knocked back in that area, but those guys have been fighting for like basically a month straight in that same 2 hexes, more or less. So I'm not too bothered by that. And it was, I have plans for that area. We'll put it that way. There's going to be reinforcements coming in. New events. Oh, we got 3 events. Wow. The Sorge spy ring in Tokyo reports that the Japanese are not planning to attack the Soviet Union. This allows forces to be moved west from the Far East. Far East ground requirements decreases to 140 Air to 14. Excess of Soviets in the Northern Front has political benefit. Yeah, it does. Look at those outfits. Wow. That's awesome. I think I'll use that for the thumbnail. That's pretty cool. Look at that. That's an amazing picture. I wonder where they found that. That's a great picture. I've never seen that before. Partisans. Yes, we have partisans. Great. Cool. Alright, we made it through another week. We lost 55,000 men, 696 guns, 462 armored fighting vehicles, and 182 planes, but the Axis lost 32,000 men. Wow. That's a heavy turn for them. 276 guns, 118 armored fighting vehicles. And on top of that, they got a lot of planes shot down. They lost 76 planes to air combat alone. That's the most they've had fighting in the air in a long time, basically since the early turns. And on top of it, they lost a few to operational and to flak too. So of those 76 planes, 36 of them were bombers. So that's really good. And 32 of them were fighter bombers. So I assume that's Bf-109s, and 16 of them were recon. The Germans have been insane with their use of their recon planes. They will fly them right over areas where I have clear air superiority. Like, it boggles my mind. They're flying into areas where they know that my Air Force still exists, right? They see it every single turn, and yet the AI continues to fly recon missions into areas where I'm flying air superiority. It's easy to tell when they're flying air superiority. You know, if you lose planes to air combat, they're flying missions, right? And they can see how many sorties I'm flying. They know I'm flying. So why are they doing it? The AI is insane. I think it's just trying to get as many stats as they can for their ground units. So they're willing to sacrifice the planes. But they've lost 125 recon planes. That's insane. I can't believe they're risking that many. They also lost 5 patrol. I don't know if that's naval patrol planes. I don't even know what that would consist of. I don't know much about the naval planes for Germany. If somebody else does, you know where to comment. I would love to learn about naval planes for the Germans. But we lost, fighters and fighter bombers, basically. We had to throw them up there to stop the Germans. But not the end of the world. I mean, we only lost 65 to air combat. 44 lost on the ground. Now, all 44 of those lost on the ground were lost at Odessa. So that's what that is. I did not expect to lose Odessa that turn, and I would love to understand why I lost Odessa. I really don't know. I'm going to take a look at the battles themselves. I don't know if there's a good reason. I guess they just brought enough troops that it finally overwhelmed me. I mean, they had held out a long time. So, pretty happy with that. But I did lose a lot of equipment, obviously. So that'll have to be fixed up. Yeah. Not the end of the world, but I mean, they lost 3,000 men storming it, so I can't be too sad. But they did finally bring enough force to overwhelm it, I guess. Or there's some sort of mechanic where at a certain date, if you haven't, I don't think there is, but maybe it's like you've been under siege for long enough and your guys are just ready to surrender. Maybe it's something like that. I don't exactly know because their combat value got reduced by a lot. I don't know exactly what did that. Just suddenly did. Nothing else had changed about the battles. Maybe it says in the logistics report somewhere else. I'll search it out, figure it out. Where else did we have battles? We had battles, Globino, the Battle of Globino, where our 30th Rifle Division was all on its lonesome, just one rifle division against one rifle division. Mano y mano. And this infantry division here was able to put up just enough to knock it back. It was a pretty close thing, though. So it's 2.8 to 1. It's not terrible. This 1-to-1 fight that we held on, really good. Knocked out 5 tanks. I wonder what tanks we killed. Some Panzer 3s, maybe? No Panzer 4s. Disrupted a Panzer 4. It looks like we knocked out Panzer 2C, Panzer 3E, and Panzer 3G. I don't even know what the difference between E and G is. Probably something that makes sense. Makes sense if you're German. With all of the series of German tanks, they had a lot of different models because they basically couldn't make up their mind on what was good. Alright. Well, they didn't hit me here. That's really interesting. They're now trying to move up here. So what I could do is just voluntarily give up Kiev. Alternatively, I could pour troops into here. Like these reinforcements, I could pour into this area here and try to hold it. Don't really like that idea though. So this was our holding force here that got blasted away. And now our two halves of the front are delinked. So we have to be very, very careful with that. Luckily, these guys didn't roll super bad on their admin rolls. So they should be able to all make it out. By out, I mean out and up. The problem is this rail line is kind of a pain in the butt right now. We really wanted it. We really would have been better served probably to pull back earlier. But the good thing is that we were able to attrit them a little bit on this line that where we wouldn't have been able to otherwise, because this river line does give us a bit of a defense. But if we can get at least back up to the Akka River, that will be better. And I think what we'll do is try to swing this way first. So do the best we can to get these 3 hexes here very well defended, so that we have plenty of time to reorganize and get the Akka River line set up. Yeah, that should work. So I don't know if those guys are going to head up there or if they're going to head down here, where it's also very much needed. I'm just glad to see that they didn't drive right through up here, because that's what I was scared of when that Panzer division there was like poking its head over this river. I was scared that it was just going to cross on us. A lot of 3s here. I wish I had some more infantry that was strong, because these guys aren't strong enough to punch this. Yeah, I'm thinking of just giving ground at this point. I don't know. When am I supposed to lose Kiev? I was supposed to lose Kiev on turn 13. So we're holding fast. Oh my god, that sudden victory level is so crazy. Can you imagine getting it back to 450? You would have to be absolutely demolishing to get a 450 in October 1942. That's crazy. That would mean you'd have to never lose this stuff too, I think. Oh, I guess, well, technically, if they don't get 525 by January 42, they also will lose. That might be our victory condition. That's possible. But that's, I don't know, that seems kind of unlikely as well. So Odessa was actually supposed to fall on turn 17, so I don't know what happened, but it fell super, super early. So they are getting a bonus for it now. That is unfortunate. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know what happened. You can see them shoot up from 425 to 452 because they captured Odessa. But it's just kind of weird. We are slowly catching up to them in total men, and we actually just passed them in total guns on the field. We started with more tanks, but they're the bad tanks, not the good ones. So our good tanks, if you were looking at actual like T-34s and tanks that are useful for us, the numbers would not look like this. It'd be like way down here. So we got very few medium tanks right now, and we've lost an insane number of tanks. Absolutely insane. Every time they have a little bit of a combat, we lose tons of tanks. I watched an interview with this guy who wrote a book about the average loss rate of tanks on the Eastern Fronts for the Soviet Union, and the average per day, the whole war, was 700. That's how many you could lose on a given day. That's crazy. And obviously they built a lot, but the Soviet Union started with an enormous number of tanks, and they never got back up to the same number as they had pre-war. But the quality of the tanks improved vastly. So like a T-34 in 1941, like the ones that we have in our army right now, compared to a T-34 in 1943, is a lot different. Even though the model didn't get changed, and the designations are usually not talked about in the West, but the different runs of the T-34s did have some small differences every time, and most of it was just incremental improvements in construction quality too. So like right now they're trying to slap together whatever will roll, but as we get a little bit further into the war, the construction quality does start to improve a little bit, and in general the design itself was improved from 41 to 42. And those are designated as T-34Ms. So when you start seeing T-34Ms in your order of battle, that's when you know that the tide is about to turn, because those things are a lot better. Obviously, tanks are only a very small piece of the puzzle in the equipment game, but that same kind of conversion of really crappy early war or pre-war equipment to much better late war and mid-war equipment, but in the mid-war there's just not enough of it to go around, right? And the objectives of the early offensives like Typhoon were a little bit too ambitious for the actual amount of quality equipment that was available, and that's why it has the reputation for just human wave it really wasn't supposed to be human wave. It definitely wasn't supposed to be. The plans were always for, using a lot of artillery, a lot of tanks. It just, nobody knew how to employ them at the lower levels, at the brigade or even battalion commanders were really, really bad. And obviously our generals are really, really bad. Speaking of generals, I remember I was clicking around last time, and I remember seeing the Western Air Command still had their original commander, I think, Kopets. And this guy in real life killed himself, I think, on the very first day of the war. I think somebody commented, and I looked it up, and then, so this guy actually killed himself on the very first day of Barbarossa, because everything had just fallen apart around him, and he was humiliated that he had lost so many planes, I assume. So anyway, he didn't make it to day 2, and here we are, September 21st, 1941, and he's still commanding our glorious Western Air Command. Not well, but he's commanding it. He has 7 victories, 16 defeats, and he has a political score of 1. So I wouldn't be surprised if he loses a couple more air battles if we see him get the old execution treatment, which a few of our poor generals have had the displeasure of getting an unfortunate fate. And this guy was executed because his troops lost 16 battles in a row. And the rest of these guys were all killed in action here. A lot of generals killed in action. Some that were actually not too bad. Like this guy, I had actually assigned him originally to, I think, the 38th Army, right when it got formed, and then he got killed somehow. Don't really remember that. It's all such a daze, to be honest. This guy got killed, probably in a plane crash. I don't know. But we had some serious losses very, very early on. And in general in World War II, a lot of generals got killed, shockingly, on the Eastern Front. A lot more than you would expect. You expect at the general level that they're pretty far from the front, but because mobile warfare was so much faster and deadlier than it had been in previous wars, generals often were put into some real danger. Even in the American Army and British armies, there were generals that were killed. It wasn't 100% safe being a general. Alright, so we do have some issues now here, because this airbase is a bit overstacked. Got a lot of planes here. So I was thinking of maybe building an airbase here. I definitely want one in Mariupol. Oops. Go to this. I'm thinking of building airbase there. Here. I've got a bunch further back already built, but I could use a couple here. That would maybe help clean up our organization a little bit if we had more spaces to go to. But we do have a good amount of air bases here, so we could spread them out a little bit more. Alright, so what's happening is we have these units that are trying to cross this river. I would like very much to interdict them if possible. Oh, you even come with troops. Wow. So they actually kind of successfully evacuated. And this is the 1st Guards Rifle Division. It even has a unit history. The real 1st Guards Rifle Division came out of the Moscow Motor District. That's interesting. So I think we'll probably be reassigning the Guards rifles to somewhere else. And same with the cavalry. How close was this guy? Huh? He's practically... These all have 12 wins and 1 loss, so they're all very high morale compared to what we have down here, or high max morale. Because when you're a Guards rifle or you have a lot of wins, your maximum morale, see how this guy's maximum morale is 60? Normally it's 50. So if you look at a regular army unit, it's 55, sorry. So this guy's normally maxed out at 55. But when you're a Guards cavalry division, he's actually 65. Wow. Okay, so maybe just cavalry divisions start with more. Okay, so yeah, rifle divisions have morale of 50, max morale of 50, and that gets upgraded to 60, so you get plus 10, basically. And then the cavalry starts with a 55 and it goes up to 65. Very cool. I mean, it's I'd rather have it that way. We could use some more planes down there, couldn't we? Let's bring in some planes to this airfield. What do we need to survive? Could bring in some bombers. Might need some bombers to start delaying stuff. What is a DB-3B? This is where my complete lack of knowledge of air equipment comes into play. So it's a long-range bomber, and it upgrades to the IL-4. Okay, so this is a crap version of it. That's interesting. I wonder if we can upgrade. So we want aircraft DBs. Oh wow, we have some on the map. Transfer them to the reserve. Because there's no point in having the DB-3Bs out there. A lot of these aren't even doing anything. Save those pilots. Save their lives. And a lot of these are manual upgrades. Oh, there's a naval bomber version of it too. The DB-3T. We do have a fair amount of IL-4s and TB-3s, but let's just start upgrading them to IL-4s. Oops, didn't actually change it. Go through and change a bunch of these. Okay, so basically what that means is I want to bring in a group that has the newer aircraft. I still have some I-16s flying, which I'm not the biggest fan of. I'd like to get them out of there. But this group here is actually very experienced. 188th IAP. Can we find them? And Let's get you guys upgraded to some MiGs. Get them retrained. Got a bunch of guys that are high experience, high morale, but they're on bad planes. Like these guys here. They're on the Transcaucasus, but they should be upgraded at some point here. Let's get you guys some new planes. Sorry, I know this is about as dry as the Sahara. But this is the kind of management that I actually really enjoy doing. Like when I play by myself, just doing like one of the scenarios, I will sit there for hours just messing around with the planes. Because I like learning about them. You know, I've learned a lot just by playing this game about, you know, what the process of getting from pre-war equipment to mid-war equipment was like. And that's really what this game is about. It's about leadership, so it's about your generals. I've learned a lot about generals, and it's about equipment. It's not really so much like it is a game of chess in some ways, but knowing the rules is almost less important than knowing good uses of equipment and good uses of your generals, like where to put the good guys. At least I think so. I think just sitting here like this is kind of like the idea of kind of positional play in chess. You set yourself up for success, hopefully, by sitting in good defensive positions. But that will never win. That can't win you the game. But it positions you to win the game. So that's basically what I've been trying to do. The last few turns really is start thinking more long term about upgrading our planes, you know, preparing air bases ahead of time. Basically all the stuff that I have not been doing up to this point, I want to start doing more of and do better at it. Just building a bunch of air bases up. Like, yes, obviously they will eventually get captured potentially, at least this close to the front. But not having any air bases is bad too, because you can't fly missions. I'm not really going to make any mission changes. This is going to be more of a management turn, where I'm just going to try to get in the planes that we need to fly the missions that we want to do. So like this Baltic Air Command is a little low on planes right now. Let's see what it's supposed to be flying. It's got 2 air superiority missions that it's supposed to be flying, but it hasn't even been flying one of them. So I don't know what's going on there. But the other one was very intensive. They only lost 4 planes. So I'm thinking these guys are going to have to keep flying air superiority missions. I just want to see where we're flying them. What the hell? Why is he flying an air superiority mission over Moscow? That must have been my turn 1 mistake. He is flying air superiority over a very large area of the front. And he's not really doing any ground support. So I think all of the bombers could safely be sent to the back. So let's see how we're gonna do that efficiently. We still got I-16s too. Well, I'll leave him some IL-2s, I guess. And these are recon planes, so I prefer to not have them here. Can move them up here. It's a little safer. Execute planned air transfer of the WSKBF over to Volkov, and let's bring in. See what air bases have space. We could bring them into here. let's bring in some more fighters with these guys. Alright, how about to the Northwestern Air Command? They are flying a lot of missions and they're very spread out too, so it's challenging for them to fly their missions efficiently. They're still flying some ground attack missions. I think that's still an effective mission. I'll let them do that. Some air superiority there, that's fine still. Yeah, so I think all of those are good. Just want to click through them to make sure that they're going to have enough planes to do their missions, which it looks like they do. Great. So for this thing, I think. Wonder what the difference between strategic and tactical air recon is. I guess that's a topic for another video, because we have been dragging on for quite some time here. And I think I'm done futzing with the planes for now. The only thing I might do is transfer these guys here. Oops. Transfer these guys here. This is the 36th PVO. I don't really have any air bases in between. It's very inconvenient indeed. I just don't have any air bases in general down here. Let's build a few. In case they come that way, and then up here, we could use some air bases up here. So we already have a depot there, we might as well make that a whole military base. Like, obviously I'm going ham now because I haven't been doing it for a long time, and I should have been building air bases this whole time. I'm just trying to play catch up. This is not good, I don't think. I assume that this is a very inefficient way to do it, because now my construction boyos won't know exactly where to be going. Like what's high priority, what's low priority, that kind of thing. But to some extent I don't care. I just want to get some down, so I have them. Just trying to imagine some lines here, so you could see like this would be a defensive line along this river system, but that's kind of the approaches to Kharkov. And then when we get into Kharkov proper, we need plenty of airfields behind it as well, which we already built. I did go ahead and do that, and then I know I had thrown down a couple more, but this actually started with quite a few already there. We could probably use an airbase here as well. Give something to the Southern Air Command. I've just been very hesitant to build air bases so far because I'm scared of losing them, essentially. But you can't be scared forever. Okay, so the only additional mission I wanted to fly down here, and it doesn't look like I have the planes that can do it. I need to bring in some more bombers. The rail yard is damaged. That's not good. Let's bring in some IL-4s. Bring in IL-4s, and then we will bring in some Yaks. Still a lot of I-16s around. There's a MiG group. Yaks and MiGs. So they're all going to the Southern Air Command. So we'll give them to the 21st SAD. And hopefully that'll work. The 5th RAG finally has some bombers. Trying to bulk up these boyos. Honestly, let's bring in some more bombers into this base as well. It's got a lot of fighters, but it doesn't have a lot of bombers. Give it some tactical bombers. Some IL-til Strombervik. Start bulking it up a little bit. we've had some serious losses down here, and losing all those planes in Odessa when I didn't expect to lose them. Very sad. Very sad indeed. Alright, so with that, let us execute our air directives. It's going to be a long video. Oh Jesus, we just lost 50 planes to flak. Why are we losing so many planes to flak? Leningrad. Okay. Must have accidentally flown over a SS unit or something. That's where almost all of our losses were. And they did nothing because they all got shot down. Yikes. Well, with that, I will see you next time when we try to sort out the ground war. See ya.